All right, without further ado, here in the top right-hand corner of the map, playing as the Terran pieces. Give it up, it is BYUN. And the bottom left in the blue from Team Liquid, give it up, it is Clem, playing Terran as well. Alright, so TVT is the matchup, the first not TVP that we've had in this series, but I'm excited to see it. BYUN definitely has been making some good strides. We've seen him in a few tournaments doing really well, and Clem has always kind of been one of those up-and-comers. He's really shown his worth, you know, as of late, as a potential runner for, you know, the foreigner scene. So I'm excited to see him kind of play. Both players are going to be opening up into barracks, but it looks like we are going to have double gas coming out from Clem. So going to be going more into that tech-heavy route, where it looks like BYUN will possibly be going into more of a macro, like, production value kind of opening. Definitely economic for sure. Gonna be Reaper opening. And, oh, that's cool. Behind this Clem, gonna be going into a reactor, into a factory. Very nice. Could we be seeing double Reapers coming out from a Clem into like a Hellion medevac drop? Something that's definitely popular in TVP, but maybe he throws it out here in TVT. Definitely is possible. We see BYUN coming out with the first Reaper, looking for any signs of anything, you know, any proxies, any kind of aggression. And he's actually supply blocked for the most part. He does have a CC on the way and just starts up that supply depot, so not really going to be able to make much here at the moment, while Clem is opening up double Reapers. He has that Hellion on the way, going into a CC behind this. And yeah, I mean, he's going to have the army available to what BYUN has. Because all BYUN really has is what? That Reaper? That's all he has? Yeah, that's all he has at the moment. Oh, because of the Hellion. Okay. Starport on the way, almost done. And it's going to be a mine follow-up. Very interesting. Mines, Marines, and on the other side here of Clem, he does have additional Hellions coming through, more Reapers, as he is starting to push across the map. The third Hellion will join up with this eventually, and he is looking to push into the main base. Now with the mine here, he has to be super careful. Oh, loses one of the Hellions instantly, but with the additional Hellion coming in, he should be more than okay. And Clem getting on top of the Reapers will eliminate a lot of that harassment potential from BYUN. Now he does have a medevac out to heal up the Marines and kind of help with some micro, but this is a lot of damage coming out from Clem. Behind this, he does have a tank. He's got a medevac coming out and a few Marines, so it is going to be more follow-up to it. Forces the pickup from the orbital of, from BYUN, so it gives Clem the opportunity to build up his SCV count. Because he was going more into an attack, he wasn't making a whole lot of SCVs compared to what BYUN had. So it does give him a little bit of an advantage here. The Cyclone is going to be able to push this away with the help of those Marines. But here comes another drop with the Marines, with the tank for Liquid Clem. Ooh, the Reaper going to get in. Able to kill off two SCVs, excuse me. And here we go. Finally going to get the tank down onto the low ground. Going to siege up. Going to force a pickup onto the onto the Cyclone, and with the addition here of the Reapers, the Hellions, and that tank moving up, there's just not going to be enough here for BYUN, as he is going to be forced into his main base. There is a tank coming out that actually just popped out here for BYUN. He does have a Banshee on the way as well, and the Raven will throw down a missile turret, but going to be focusing onto the Reapers instead of the tank. 10 SCVs have fallen here for BYUN, as he is supply blocked, having to rebuild his command center in the main base. And yeah, I mean, BYUN trying to find something to do here, trying to, you know, get on top of the tank or find some kind of damage, but he is being forced into a really bad chokehold. Siege tank's going to move up as much as possible, but it looks like Clem going to jump on top of these. One of the tanks does fall down. The second tank will fall as well. And now Clem going to have a little bit better, but with the Banshee coming out for BYUN, actually will force a pickup. Almost loses the medevac as well. And Clem now at home. He does have a third CC done and is making more Marines. He's already got tanks. He's got Ravens. He is looking mighty fine at this point. And still has that medevac full of units, but does not matter. BYUN wants to come across. He needs to get the damage done. Sees the army and instantly GG's. It's a good job there from Clem. A very aggressive opening. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. It's going to be on Pillars of Gold. Let's see if BYUN can kind of make a comeback here, right? He's playing all right, but I think his opening just was not able to get what it wanted done. Definitely had to play defensively. But let's jump into game number 2 and let's see what happens. All right. Without further ado, here in the bottom left-hand corner of Pillars of Gold, it is the blue Terran. It is BYUN. And then the top right in the red is Clem. Alright, so game 1 we saw Clem going for this very aggressive opening, was able to kind of kill off the essential units, right, of BYUN's army. And unfortunately, because of that, BYUN was not able to really kind of recover. He did have the tanks up top. I think the big mistake, though, was trying to move those tanks up. With them being on siege, he was not able to keep his position. I think maybe if he would have held out for the Banshee to arrive and then shut down with the Raven or something, that would have been a little bit better. But unfortunately, that did not happen, and he just could not really recover from it. BYUN going into that single gas once again, while Clem going to be going into double gas. So definitely wants to go up that tech tree again, you know, potentially get aggressive with a big army that we saw kind of similar into game number 1. We'll see though. This time he is going to open up a single Reaper though, instead of going straight into the refinery. And looks like BYUN going to do the same. He's got his Reaper, but not going to have that additional gas. So his, I guess his factory will be a little bit later. Yeah. Factory is already down for Clem. This BYUN will shortly follow kind of after him, and even going to get the expansion down before Clem, but we'll have the tech advantage, right? So we'll see the play coming out here. And now this is just kind of a very good opening in general for the Terran. It's going to allow him to be active on the map, potentially, you know, kill off a couple of units, and especially if BYUN wants to come across with some tanks, maybe go into like a Marine tank Viking kind of pressure. It will allow him to at least scout it early enough and try to get into position. No. It's going to be Hellions coming out for BYUN. Finally gets that reactor up on the barracks. Going to be going into Marines behind this in the starport follow-up. So could potentially do the same thing as game 1, but maybe go into like a Marine Hellion drop. Could be very interesting. Mine going to be coming out for Clem, and behind us a starport. And for the most part, I think Clem is pretty well secured. Does have the CC on the way while BYUN's is already finished up, and BYUN actually going to have additional Marines out already. So yeah, looking pretty good. CC going to be finishing up for Clem, and now just going to be aggressive first. I definitely think BYUN has that opportunity, getting the medevac out. We'll be able to push across potentially, but is he going to go into a Raven behind this? I think so. Marine Reaper Mine against Marine Mine. Interesting. Both players flying across the map. It looks like Clem will get there just in time, or at least a little bit quicker. There is no defense here, though, in the main, except for a Marine and a Hellion. Looks like a little bit of an attack coming down as well. There's Cyclone here, though, so that could be very useful. Marines, the Reaper, and the Mine going to get burrowed. The Mine hiding in plain sight. Oh, no. BYUN! Oh, moves them just in time, but we'll still lose 9-10 SCVs. On the other side, the Marines here for BYUN are going to be forced to pick up another huge mine shot. Oh, man. Another huge mine shot. Does kill off 6 mines. A bunch of those SCVs are getting very, very low. Does eventually get cleaned up, but Clem in the natural now. Trying to take care of the Raven. The Raven going to throw down a missile turret, or a turret to get on top of it. Does eventually kill it off, so very good job. Very evenly supplied there. 15 SCVs go down for BYUN as Clem loses 14. But definitely the army in favor of, well, I guess both players at the moment. Cyclone is on the hunt, though. He is trying to find this medevac. Oh. There it is. Nope, not able to get it, unfortunately. We'll force BYUN back. Behind it, tanks, Raven, Marines, very standard stuff coming out from both sides. And yeah, I mean, they're both having to play kind of a defensive game after that. I'm going to put some tanks into the main base, and on the other side, just going to be Marines, Vikings, and tanks. And it does look like BYUN wants to push across once again here. And, I mean, you're feeling pretty good after that previous kind of game, I guess, or the previous kind of engagement. Oh, man. They both took each other out at the same time. That's crazy. Hellion giving chase. This wants to keep tabs on BYUN's army, and this will allow actually Clem to move out, get himself in a good position. He wants to get on top of the high ground before BYUN can really get set up, but can he actually do it? Raven's going to shut down the tanks as it is going to be turrets coming out from Clem, setting up his own tank. We'll push back BYUN to the bottom of the ground, losing out one of the Ravens. Clem still does have his Ravens up and going, so he could potentially continue into this. But it looks like BYUN wants to wrap around and potentially go into the natural. There's the third base for Clem behind us, and we do see the Viking getting repaired. Yeah, I mean, maybe try to go up here is what he's wanting to do. Nope. Tank's going to get sieged up. We'll take out one of the Ravens and puts himself in an okay position, but with the additional tanks coming in here for him, Clem will actually force BYUN back. Both players were scanning each other, kind of seeing where they were. And now it becomes kind of a Viking count kill, as Clem is going to start pushing across once again. Alright, so tanks are going to be going down on Clem's side. Marines pretty well bunched up at the moment, so all the Marines are going to fall. BYUN still has a couple units that they do actually fall, and it looks like Clem will start pushing across. He does have a single Raven, but he doesn't have enough energy to really get on top of it. The tanks are going to get in range here, and slowly Clem starting to push across more and more. He has to be careful, right? A lot of his units are very damaged, and BYUN trying to find that perfect spot to just fortify and hold this. Clem gonna go right around. We do see the Marines coming forward here, just kind of see where this army is at, make sure that he doesn't just get massive tank dropped or tank pulled on. BYUN definitely has the Viking count here, and he's gonna start pushing into this as we see both sides really just tactically trying to move their tanks in a good position. Do not want to overextend in it, especially in TVT. It's so easy to do that. It's so much of a, you gotta have your pieces in the right place, and we will see that coming out. Tanks are gonna siege up on the high ground for Clem, as the tanks here for BYUN do actually have to get kind of moved around, unsieged and sieged. You see this constantly coming out from both sides, just trying to get in a good placement. Takes out one of the tanks. The Vikings are gonna land. Another one of the tanks is unsieged here. Eventually we'll be able to take out all of the tanks here except for one that is very dangerously injured for BYUN. And it looks like the Marines, the Vikings, are going to come in. Finally, the Raven does get taken out, and BYUN should be able to hold this off. For the time being anyway, the Vikings are going to land, and we'll be able to kind of clear a lot of this up. But behind it, more Marines, more tanks, everything coming through here for the Terran in red. Clem really can't even lift up his Vikings at this point, or they'll just get annihilated by the Vikings of BYUN. Just barely gonna have enough. And again, two Vikings end up falling the same way that the two Cyclones do. And Clem slowly starting to push on top of this. Yeah, there's a lot of Marines though. I don't know, he really can't attack on top. And with that tank being in position, Clem definitely in a tough spot. The Marines going to come in for BYUN. Going to be able to eliminate a lot of the tanks, but here comes Clem into the third base of BYUN, looking to go into the main base now as the Marines, the tanks, trying to reposition themselves as best as possible. Marines and stuff, though, for Clem will be able to get out behind this. It does have that third base pretty well saturated. Able to kill off 10 drones is nothing to scoff at. And, oh my goodness, is he going to go back for some more? Sees that there's no tanks in sight. Okay, no, he's going to back up. +2 on the way for BYUN. He does have a sensor tower on the way. Looks like one finishing up now for Clem behind this. And it's going to make it harder for them to kind of do these drops to get in and just really, you know, put on the pressure. But we'll see. A fourth base now on the way for Clem. He's going to get in and get the sensor tower. We'll have to be back up, but man, I don't know. Clem's +1 is not done yet, as while BYUN's +2 is about halfway done. That does give BYUN a pretty good shot here, but even in TVT with an upgrade advantage, sometimes it feels like it doesn't even matter. Scans going out on both sides. There still is a nice little attack force down here at the bottom for Clem. He is going to go ahead and stun across, start trying to take out some more SCVs. It looks like BYUN will go ahead and return back home leaving his tanks exposed, giving BYUN, or excuse me, Clem an opportunity here. The tank will be able to at least save this for now, but Clem gonna go into the main base with these Marines. There is a Viking there to try to defend this, but those Marines will be able to take care of the Viking, no problem. And with Marines slowly stemming in, gonna have a tough time. Is able to kill off 7 more kills. Still has a medevac full of units. We'll be able to get on top of the tank here. These Marines definitely heavily injured. Tanks on the high ground for Clem, and another battle as the Marines here for BYUN trying to get on top of everything, trying to take out as much as possible, but 10 SCVs have gone down for BYUN, as now Clem just continuing back and forth will actually start stemming into BYUN's army. A lot of the medevacs for BYUN are very injured. Kills off a good chunk of the army, and now Clem slowly is just starting to push across the map. This +1 is finished. BYUN does have +2, but if he can't get in the right position, it may amount to nothing. A lot of these Marines are very low in health. Actually is able to pick off almost all of the tanks here of Clem's. Forces Clem back once again as he takes a 4th base behind this. Already though, Clem's 4th base is in position. BYUN gonna go ahead and scan to see where everything is at. And here comes Clem. Able to kill off 1 tank, but his Marines are very well damaged. BYUN looking to go up towards the north where that 4th base is. Another scan does go down, sees that this army has essentially moved. There are a couple of tanks over here that will be able to get a couple of pot shots off, but Clem trying to stay out of range. But BYUN will actually push across the map once again and try to get some damage done. Now tanks are going to start sieging up onto the planetary fortress on that 4th base. BYUN is going to go across and essentially attack this, but with tanks everywhere, will lose a lot of his army. Clem, though, in the natural, there is a tank sieged up on the ramp. We'll be able to eliminate a lot of this, but with that tank going down and the medevac still healing as much as possible, looking like it's going to be pretty good. And GG, as Clem takes game number 2 in that series. All right, so Clem up 2-0 against BYUN. BYUN needs to win every match from here on out if he does want to advance and win the series. Here we go to game number 3. It's going to be on Lightshade. Let's get it. All right. Without further ado, here in the top left-hand corner of the map, it's the red Terran player. It is Clem. And in the bottom right, in the blue, he's a Terran player as well. Give it up. It is BYUN. Alright, so Clem definitely showing some strong multitasking. Able to really just win the war in these mini battles. Game number 3. Will we see more of that coming out from Clem? He's definitely showed he can be aggressive. He can be patient. He is finding these neat little areas to attack, to get in, and picks off a unit here or there, pulls back, doesn't fully commit, and we just see him slowly start chipping away at the armor of BYUN. Now, in game number 3, we see Clem going for double barracks this time. Each game so far, he has opened up double gas, but this time just going into a single gas, getting the double barracks, while BYUN does a single racks himself. And do we see maybe a mass Reaper here? We'll find out. It is going to be a single Reaper so far on both sides. Yeah, I mean, BYUN going to be going into an expansion behind this. I don't think that Clem will go into an expansion, but at the same time, BYUN does see that there is kind of a block off. I don't think he doesn't see this base up here, or the racks. So yeah, he really doesn't know much. Of course, Clem has yet to actually scout anything, so he has no idea what's going on across the map, but it's gonna be double Reapers, kind of a using the Reapers against BYUN. Of course, BYUN is very well known for his Reaper control. So we'll see. First Reaper going to be coming in. There's a Marine follow-up for BYUN, but you just got to be super careful with this. There is a bunker coming down, so it will be somewhat defensible. Behind it is going to be Marines. Looks like just 3 Reapers. Factory finally coming down for Clem behind this, and the Marines, or excuse me, the Reapers, not going to get a whole lot done here actually. And yeah, he's kind of delayed a little bit of mining time. Picks off maybe like 2 SCVs. Oh wow. Is he actually going to get a lot of damage done here with this? Third SCV does go down as that additional Reaper does join in this. More and more Marines are coming out for Clem though, but he's keeping them at home. 5, wow. He got a lot more damage done than I was expecting. Yeah, 6. 6 SCVs, a Reaper, and a Marine for 3 Reapers. He cannot complain to that at all. I will take that trade all day. Here we go. Starport coming down for Clem. Behind it, Factory is finished up with the Tech Lab, but he is going to be going into a Cyclone behind this. Reactor and a Tech Lab for the barracks, so we'll be able to get STEM. We'll be able to continue to get those Marines up and going. And he has this expansion down. Has the SCV count after all of that. And what does BYUN really have? He's got a couple of Hellions. He's got 6 Marines. The Hellions might be able to get a little bit done, but with the Marines and stuff already here, I don't see him getting more than maybe 1 or 2 SCV kills. Yeah. And he is able to kill off one of the Hellions. The Cyclone trying to give chase to the other Hellion, but not going to be too much. And now BYUN going to be moving across with a medevac, with some Marines and a tank. Still has that other Hellion as well, but by this time, I mean, with the Cyclone, with the Marines, I don't know if he can get the tank up. It could be very tough for Clem to actually kind of come back from this. We'll see. Can he get a game? Potentially get the series here. Tank gonna siege up onto the low ground. Oh, right outside the base anyways. Instant SCV pool. Behind it, BYUN going into a Raven to kind of help add on to this. Another tank is coming out. Some more Marines. Trying to slowly push into this. The Cyclone gets out of the way. And he's still just barely out of range of that CC where he wants to be. So I would imagine that he will try to put in to the... try to get closer anyways to the CC. But by this time, there's a lot of Marines here for Clem. We'll start leapfrogging those tanks up. And yeah, I mean, he really can't get on top of this too much. So Stim is going to come out as the SCVs do get pulled. Trying to get a wraparound on this. Now, he is able to take out one of the tanks. The second tank still alive, but a lot of the Marines have been killed off here from BYUN as more Marines flooding across for BYUN. So far, 6 SCVs have died, and the Marine count has gone down for Clem. I mean, he's only at 4 or 5 Marines now to the 9 here. 2 tanks and the Raven for BYUN. Clem definitely has to play this patiently, though. He's going to start losing a little bit more SCVs, unfortunately. But, I mean, what do you do behind this? He does have another tank. He's got a 3rd CC that he could potentially land. And it looks like BYUN is going to go more aggressive. He's adding on additional barracks. He's got that 3rd CC on the way. And unfortunately, Clem cannot, like, effectively mine. He keeps getting just annihilated right here in this bottom section, which really kind of throws him off. He's not able to produce as much as he would have liked. And yeah, we're going to see Clem regather himself here. tanks, you go ahead and siege up as the tank for BYUN does unsiege. Gets picked up. Almost loses the tank in the medevac. As the medevac does fall, there's just too many Marines here. And Clem will go ahead and start pushing across. The tanks getting unsieged. We'll land that third base as well. And Clem trying to push himself across the map for a victory. But can he do it? There's already tanks in that position. There's already a lot of Marines. Stim is almost done. I don't think so. I mean, maybe he pushes down at the bottom of this third base and just kind of starts floating in. Other than that, I don't see him getting as much done as he'd really like, and the tank's going to have a nice clear advantage. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe the Liberator, though. Tanks are going to get closer. Trying to really just kind of move everything around here. Ooh, he will have to unsiege the tanks once again. Able to pick off. Oh no, he doesn't even pick it off. But one of the tanks does fall. The second tank getting very close to being down. And beautiful pickups coming out here from BYUN. Trying to keep these tanks alive as best as possible. As Clem with that Liberator trying to at least kind of contain as much as possible here of BYUN. BYUN finally will be able to kind of pull out, or at least push out a little bit. And Clem, I don't know, he's got +1 on the way, while BYUN's is already finished. Oh, huge hit though on those Marines as they were so clumped up. Gonna kill off 10 SCVs. The third base will get lifted up once again. The tanks are gonna have to re-siege. All of the Marines are starting to fall very low. The tanks for Clem are dead though. And here we go. Marines gonna start trying to pull into the tanks. We'll eventually get cleaned up. And we will see at least the medevacs kind of pulling themselves back. But now Clem in a pretty good lead as far as it goes with the SCV count. +1 will finish up here in just about 10 seconds for Clem, evening it up, but +2 is already on its way for BYUN behind us. Marines are going to be making their way across. We'll see this army pushing across, allowing Clem to get in a defensible position. But it looks like BYUN going to start pushing into this. Tank sieging up. He does have a Raven. Try to shut down some of these tanks if possible. But he's going to go straight up the ramp, going towards that natural. Clem has to kind of be prepared with this. I mean, a lot of the tanks here for BYUN are actually very low, so he needs to be careful. He does scan and see that the tanks are getting kind of repositioned here, and we will see Clem essentially kind of moving back into another position, and that's just a lot of what TBT is just getting in that right position. Clem does have the Viking count available, and the medevac here was trying to get on top of the tanks. Doesn't look like it's going to be possible, but medevac is going to go across now for Clem, but there's already a lot of Marines here for BYUN. BYUN just exploding right now with that 5 racks. Just exploding his army count. He's going to send some Marines over, but automatically, we do see the Marines here from BYUN coming. Going to pick up automatically and move out. Very smart move. 4th base is going to be floating over for Clem behind this, and I don't know yet. This isn't BYUN's full army, obviously, so maybe he can do something there, but BYUN, or excuse me, Clem does see that this army is moving up, looking for a little bit of a wraparound, and essentially 3rd base is going to be attacked here from BYUN at the same time. The tank's going to be sieging up down here, so the tank's still in a pretty good position. The Marines and a couple of tanks are going to be coming down for Clem. He's managed to hold on that orbital, losing only 5 SCVs during that whole thing. Now 8 because of those additional 3. And now Clem is kind of being held. He has that 4th base ready to move out, but unfortunately he can't with the tanks and stuff here, and with the Marines pressuring from the other side. There we go. Lots of tank shots going off. The Marines finally going to stem into this. Those tanks will eventually fall here for BYUN as the Marines of Clem just push through. Almost dying as +2 is finished on both sides. +3 on the way for BYUN though. Does get a scan, sees that there's no 4th base here for BYUN. At the same time, a nice little attack going up at the top. BYUN going to be able to clear off a couple of depots, but has to pick up, move on out. Does have +1 weapons on his tank, so that will help out a little bit as he takes that 4th base finally. But it looks like Clem wants to move across now. He got blood in his vision, and he wants to kill BYUN now. But can BYUN hold on to this? He's going to stem forward before the tanks can siege up. Going to get on top of a few of them. Getting on top of the Marines as it looks like Clem is going to start pushing back. And BYUN going to continue to fully go across with this. Now, the tank count is still there for Clem. Does have a couple of Marines that will kind of see where everything is, as well as that scan sees where this army is positioned. The 4th base is already there for Clem as well. And now the scans begin once again, trying to make sure that they are in the same positions that they need to. Marines going to be coming up to the top here for BYUN, trying to get a couple of kills if possible. The tanks are getting re-sieged. At the same time, there is a Liberator down here for Clem, as well as those Marines and some tanks. This does get cleaned up, but no, it's going to go into the main base. Going to try to kill off some of the production here from Clem. At the same time, the Marines and the tanks for BYUN going to be scanning around for that 4th base. Eventually, this does get cleaned up. Medevac gets killed off with a full tray of units. This +3 is on the way on both sides, but these units for BYUN are just way too low, getting right into the tank volleys, and yeah, just instantly being annihilated here. The Marines for Clem are still alive. They are starting to get low though, so he needs to be careful. Here come the Marines after another stem. And I think that just might be enough here for Clem to push through. The Marines will have to be forced back, and I mean, he's still in range, I think, of that one tank. The other tank is going to come down, trying to save that 3rd base. Is not able to, and now the medevac's going into the main base of Clem as BYUN looking to push in, but with the tanks already in position, will get forced back. The Vikings looking to get those medevacs. One medevac barely able to survive. And a very good job here from BYUN getting that 3rd base, but his units are very low. Going for another Doom drop here. Trying to continue to push into the front. Loses one of the tanks is Clem, but BYUN going into the main once again. There is a tank present. It's going to go ahead and siege up at the same time. These tanks down at the low ground, trying to get on top of the Clem's own tanks. The Marines trying to concave as best as possible, but there are so many tanks at the same time. Getting on top of everything else here, the E-bays and the depots. This is just not looking good right now here. BYUN is going to continue to push into the 3rd base. But only has a few Marines. He's only got a couple of tanks available as well. And he really can't push into this. Clem somehow is still holding on to this. This other 3rd base that he had to bring down his main for. The Vikings, though, will be able to take care of a lot of the medevacs. And it's just going to be Marine tank for BYUN. BYUN does still have a lot of medevacs, though. Unfortunately, he is going to be forced to pick up that CC once again. The tanks trying to get a couple of pot shots off now. The Vikings are going to be a very big nuisance for BYUN, just because he cannot really deal with them. The Marines, if they go forward any, they're going to get hit by the tanks. This is not going to be a good time for the Blue Terran. And with Liberators coming out, going to make it even more annoying. Looks like BYUN, though, might actually push the envelope here, getting a lot of his units killed off, though. But interesting to note, BYUN is at 128 supply to Clem's only 164, 130 army supply all together. He's going to push in once again. Yeah, not going to look good on the tanks. Just too many here. Going to eliminate a lot of the Marines, but here comes BYUN as he's continuing to try to push into this. Loses all of the tanks. 26 SCVs do fall for Clem as he kind of goes into almost an all-in, it feels like. Trying to send in a couple of medevacs. Oh no. What is he doing here? Alright. Clem starting to push across the map now. Looking for a little bit of a sandwich here possibly, or just trying to get a multi-prong. Get in a good position, and it looks like with the tanks, there's just so many tanks here for Clem. 13 tanks to 4, definitely BYUN in some trouble. He has the army count, but as far as army strength, definitely in favor here of Clem. He is going to be able to get that third base. We will see him start pushing into the natural, but this is the army that he needs to worry about. Clem slowly starting to leapfrog his tanks forward. Only 2 tanks here for BYUN, as he is going to be forced back once again. +3 is almost done for the Red Terran. And now BYUN going into the main base at the same time as more and more of these tanks starting to push across, still trying to leap forward. Does he know of this bottom base? He still doesn't know this bottom base. Still just trying to get everything taken care of. In the main here is BYUN. And Clem starting to push forward more and more. I think he wants to try to get into the main base, but there's just too many Marines there right now. He does still have a medevac with some Marines in it, so he's got to be careful there. But there are no more tanks here with this army. So he can literally just kind of push in. There's 1 tank in the main base. That's about it. These Marines still getting some damage done in the main base of Clem's base here. Going to be able to eliminate a lot of the supply depots for Clem as well. Going to make it harder and harder for Clem to remake anything. And here he comes once again, eliminating a lot of Marines here from BYUN. Clem going to continue to push forward, and unfortunately BYUN just so pushed together. He's going to try to come in from the top with some Marines, but Clem just starting to push in more and more. And yeah, I mean, damage is still being done in his main, but he really can't do anything else at the moment. Yeah. Gonna lose one of those SCVs, and Clem just slowly starting to push in. Now, a lot of these tanks are very low, so just a couple of hits could potentially just turn the tides, right? But also, BYUN's army is super low as well. These the Vikings are altogether like so crucial right now. Gonna be able to eliminate any more medevacs that could possibly be there. He still doesn't know this bottom base either, which I don't think that's going to matter too much. Just going to get on top of the tank that is hiding on the high ground. Forces the unsiege there. Same time, he is going to be taking that third base down at the bottom. He's going to continue to push up north. This is the only really mining base here for BYUN. 22 SCVs up at the top. I mean, he's got, I guess, this one down here as well that hasn't been scouted, so. Wants to get on top of the tank. Does actually get the tank. Very big pickup here for Clem as he's continuing to push up to the top. At the same time, the Marines and tanks of BYUN coming down from the bottom, looking to get maybe a little bit of a sandwich smush here, or at least go across, it looks like, and to get some damage. But Clem No. Sorry. But it does look like Clem will be able to actually see that happen. There we go. Alright, so BYUN is going to be coming across now with those units, as we said. And it's going to be seen from Clem. Like, Clem just sees this coming. Automatically pulls back some of his units. He continues to push forward. He knows that there's really not a whole lot here. There is a small force of Marines. That's going to be about it. These tanks sieging up on the high ground, going to make it very difficult. Does get the scan off and sees that Clem is in the bottom. Gets the CC. Going to be able to kill off a lot of SCVs as well. At the same time, there's going to be an attack down here at the bottom, but with that planetary fortress, a lot of the Marines for BYUN going to go down. Tank's going to siege up just outside of range, start trying to push down onto this. Yeah, I mean, I like that. I think that's going to be the best play. Clem is playing this very patiently. There is a lot of Marines here, though, for BYUN. Marines and tanks are going to get in position, though, for Clem, eliminating that little threat that was coming down to his bottom base. We see BYUN actually returning back home, trying to get on top of any of the tanks that are unsieged here. Going in for a last-ditch effort. BYUN trying to get on top of it. Going to go for a surround. Eliminates a lot of the tanks here. And is going to be able to clean all of it up. He still is behind, though, in the army count-wise. He's only got 33 workers, so 34 here of Clem. And he's only on one base to the 3 bases here of Clem as well. So definitely in some trouble. He's going to have to return him back to his 3rd base, or his only base here. And continue to hold this position until he can maybe get an expansion up, get some kind of income. He's making 10 Marines at a time. He has to be careful. The tank count is still very high for Clem. He's going to go ahead and siege up. Tanks, though, going to fall. Going to move the Vikings down, but the Marines here for Clem are going to be able to retract. Go straight in. Another stim does go down, and he is going to see this base for the first time at the bottom. The SCVs are going to get pulled, trying to get on top of the Marines, being a meat shield here, but it looks like Clem will go ahead and start pulling back. Kills off 8 SCVs. More Marines starting to stem out for BYUN. This is the last crutch for BYUN if Clem can somehow overcome this now. Medevacs are out of energy here for BYUN, while at the same time Clem's energy is almost full. So has the ability to heal up a little bit more in these fights. Does that give him the advantage, though, over the Marines here of BYUN? More Marines are going to finally join into this. There is, I think, a tank coming on the way. I think Clem is just kind of waiting for that moment, just trying to see the best opportunity here. Who can hit who first? Splitting it up just a little bit. And with that tank coming in, this does give Clem the opportunity to pull the trigger. BYUN cannot make any more. He does not have any gas available. The tank going to go down in a perfect position. The CC is going to be targeted, but with the Marines, with the SCVs being pulled here from BYUN, the Marines of Clem starting to pull back, is able to clear up a good chunk of those SCVs. He is going to get backed up, and BYUN going to start pushing this back across the map. Still, the orbital is alive, but how much longer? He's only got 11 SCVs to Clem's 39. Clem can make units for days here, while it is hurting BYUN to make anything. He can only make Marines. He does not have gas. Well, he's got these, but he does not have any mining at the moment. He doesn't have the SCVs to do it. BYUN looking to push across the map. He needs to get some damage done, but how can he attack into these planetary fortresses with just Marines and some low energy, no energy medevacs? Is going to be almost near impossible. And with tanks in all of the positions, BYUN is a little in over his head, but maybe he can somehow make a comeback. He is starting to slowly make SCVs. He has to force the kind of unsieges here, but he really can't even do that. He's going to focus down the tank, but the Marines from Clem going to continue to put the pressure in. There are the bunkers coming out, or excuse me, the racks is still trying to make Marines here for Clem, but BYUN able to clear off a lot of the production, but he cannot attack into the siege tanks whatsoever. He's doing a really good job here of actually just shutting down a lot of the production, a lot of the energy from Clem, but tanks getting sieged up will push this back once again. Medevacs are still very low as more SCVs, or excuse me, more Marines are trying to push in. They will eventually have to kind of move out, regroup, but BYUN definitely trying to hold his own here. He has to stall. He has to continue to push into this and not let Clem overcome. But with Clem still having 2 bases, adding on additional barracks, and still adding on another CC, it makes it really tough, especially because the situation of these being planetaries. He doesn't have the Marine count to really deal with that. More barracks coming down as Clem still has a little bit of minerals left, still has a lot of gas as well. These Marines starting to push in, the tanks trying to help out as well. And yeah, I mean, he might be able to clear up some of these forces here. He's doing a pretty good job. But I don't know, BYUN fighting for his life here, but it just gets harder and harder each second this goes by for BYUN to do anything here. I mean, he has to fight through tanks, he has to fight through planetaries. It's just not looking good for our player BYUN. He's going to get on top of the orbital. But with the tanks there, once again, has to push back. He's going to go in with the medevacs to try to, I don't know, I guess attack in another area. But again, he can't attack into these. Marine's going to see this for Clem. He's going to go ahead and move back. He's still got the tank and the planetary here. And with turrets and stuff coming through, sensor towers, it's just, I mean, he's trying to clear up as much as he can, but I don't know, at this point, E-base don't really matter. I mean, I guess with the turrets and stuff, but here comes this big attack from Clem, going to be able to clear up all of the Marines here. GG, and Clem takes the victory 3-0. GG's.